Hi, Kerry here with Best of Us Investors. This last couple months has not been fun for us long-term investors, for particularly those of us who are investing in stocks that we think are going to have exponential growth in the health cure field, as we are been bombarded with inflation, with higher interest rates, a change in liquidity. I think we need to recognize that $9 trillion was pumped into our economy in 2020 alone as a result of coronavirus relief, and that money had to end up someplace, and it ended up with a lot of silly buying of stocks, and then we as a result of the virus, we have a broken supply chain, so we have more demand on products than we have supply. We have a war going on in Ukraine, and so there's a lot of reasons that if you put them all together, it's very easy to understand this market has to stop, and it has to correct, and it has to reestablish itself before it can move forward. So I'm sitting with 25% of my portfolio in genome sequencing, genome editing, genome therapy, protein sequencing, because I believe the next big thing, the next revolution is going to be a movement from healthcare to health cure, and that has been prompted or expedited as a result of the coronavirus. So I was on a downer this morning, and I get an email from James. James is a member of our tribe. Our tribe is a group of about 18,000 people who have come together through our Discord and various levels of interest and communicate with each other on, hey, I saw this, did you see this kind of thing? Well, James sends me an email, and it says Nkarta, Nkarta stock jumps 42% after announcing positive phase 1 data experimental CAR-NK therapies. Okay? As I then look into it, this was pre-market. At open, it was up 100%. So that got me back from my downer and said, hey, maybe I am right. And yes, I know I am right. And these stocks are going to explode. And that's what I want to explore with you today. If a stock like this can be up 100% in one day, what is its potential down the road? What is it when they come out of phase 1 and go through phase 2 and phase 3? How much does it go up then? Does it go up 1,000%? Does it go up 260,000%? That's what I want to explore with you today and see if maybe I can make your day a little brighter because of the optimism I have as a result of Nkarta's stock. Do I own Nkarta? No, I do not. But we'll get into that right after I share. This has nothing to do with financial advice. This is Kerry sharing some of his knowledge, his experience, and the benefits of having a tribe that works together to make good financial decisions. Be right back with you.
Best of Us Investors presents Kerry Griegmeyer.
Okay, after I read James's email, the first thing I did was click and see the story, and there wasn't much there. So then I went to my Seeking Alpha, and this is the screen I found on Seeking Alpha. And at that time, the stock was up 88%. And then I went and I found on this second story, Nkarta jumps on early data in new CAR cell candidates in blood cancer. And so I clicked on that, and this is what came up. And what I want to highlight for you is that it's a targeted acute myeloid lymphoma treatment. Then when you go down here, according to the company, 3 out of 5 patients treated with a high dose level in 3-dose regimen of NKX101 showed complete response with full hematologic recovery. So these people had a blood disease. They put in a high dose 3 times. I imagine needle in the arm, doesn't tell me. And they had as I read it, a full recovery. So the disease went away. Then it says 2 out of 3 responses were minimal residual disease negative, the company added. So this is a phase 1 test that involves a total of 3 and 5, 8 people. Is that what it said? 3 of 5 and 3 of 3. So 8 people that had a positive response to this therapy. And the stock goes up 100%. As I said, what happens when it goes through phase 2 and rather than 8 people, they treat 40 people and they get a positive response? And then what if the FDA says, okay, go try it on 300 people? What happens then? Does the stock just keep going up 100%? Or does it go up 2,650%? That's what I suspect will happen. And why do I suspect that will happen? Because I've seen it happen with Amazon. I've seen it happen with Google. I've seen it happen with Tesla. And which is more important here in the scope of the world we live in? An electric car, a bookseller that keeps me from having to drive to the mall to get my book, or something that takes disease out of my body? Well, oddly enough, I got an email from a friend that I made on Twitter who basically reached out to his Twitter following and said, do any of you know anything about this certain genomic disorder? And he got a response. And what I then realized was his infant daughter has a genomic disease, something that in their ancestry created a problem with the muscle control of this infant. He had told me a week earlier that this child has had regular seizures. They've now identified what is going on. And he's scrambling to try to keep his daughter alive. How important is that relative to an electric vehicle or even the internet? And the internet is a somewhere between 11 and $22 trillion business because it's changed our lives. It's changed the way we interact. And what's happened in the interim, since in the last 40 years, the internet has developed and changed our world. We've just recently added to that big data combined with artificial intelligence and machine learning. And now we have quantum computing, so that these malfunctions in the human body that we've been working on for 40 years are going to be solved, because we have the computing power to make it happen. What's going to happen to the 25% of my portfolio that is down 40%, that has the potential to go up 100% in one day based on a phase 1 trial? What happens when this becomes public? When you say to your spouse, we have to go get our genome sequenced because my grandfather died of cancer or died of heart disease, and my sister has heart disease, and it's in our family. And I need to know. And then I need to know what therapy is available. What happens when my granddaughter decides to get married and she has a choice that she can go to a clinic and have her genome analyzed and his genome analyzed, and they determine what potential diseases their children might have, and they have it taken out of their bloodline. What if my friend, who is now pulling his hair out because of his infant child, what if they'd had that available to them before they conceived their child? How important is that relative to everything else in the world? I don't believe there's anything that's more important. And so when I did a video yesterday for my granddaughter as a birthday present to say, she's 22 years old, open a Roth IRA and invest in genome therapy and genome sequencing and do that for the next 40 years. And you will see these stocks increase not by 100% in a day, but in the 5-10 years, and she's got 40 years, they'll increase by 300,000%. Not because they give you a smoother ride and they're not burning fossil fuels, or they give you the ability to buy books and all your stuff and have it delivered on your front porch the next day. No, because it changes the chain of life. It takes the disease that kills us out of our bloodline. So if you have the potential to give all your ancestors a clean bloodline, that they will never experience cancer. They'll read about this crazy thing called Alzheimer's that used to affect people, that they would lose their mind, that 1,632 people in the United States used to die of cancer every day, and 2,350 more used to die in the United States every day from heart disease. And now nobody dies from any of that anymore. That's what James's email confirmed with me today. I need you to understand it. I need you, particularly if you're under 30 years old, to recognize what's going to happen and start investing in this. And do it inside a Roth IRA. If you don't know what a traditional Roth IRA, you donate or contribute your $6,000 a year, and you get to deduct that from your earned income that year. A Roth IRA, you don't get to deduct it. But when you retire, you take it all out income tax free. And if I'm right, and if my granddaughter starts at 22, she's going to have hundreds of millions of tax-free money when she hits her 60s. If she follows this, if she invests in the biggest thing that's going to happen, you take the science, you put it with artificial intelligence, machine learning, and then pump it up with quantum computing, and I can't imagine what's going to happen. All right? I hope you understand this, because I want one thing. I want to change your life. I want to present to you an opportunity that I never had. I never had an old 77-year-old man sit down with me when I was in my 20s and 30s and say, let me give you a look into the future and let me tell you about what is coming called the internet. If somebody had told me that when I was 22 years old, what would my life be like today? That's what I just opened your eyes up to today. You can thank me in 10 years. Talk to you again tomorrow.